coming down. Dare I say, I don't know if I should jinx it or not, it's looking slightly brighter out there. It may just stop, but at the moment the driver's full wet and fully prepared for incredibly slippy conditions out there. We saw it all in qualifying 3. Tamas Karai winning that one, and Robin Larson, who is unbeaten so far over the first 3 rounds of the European Rallycross Championship. Well, he struggled somewhat. We'll speak to him in just a second. Eidar Nureyev continued his unbeaten form here in Estering as well in the Super 1600s. That will continue for qualifying 4 in just a moment. I'm going to bring him in though. The man of the moment, Robin Larson. He has an unbeaten record so far, but somewhat of a struggle there in qualifying 3. What happened at the start especially? Was the RPM just too high?
Yeah, the position 1 in the start is really slippery, so when I went off the clutch it just spun, so it's really slippery out there now, and then I hit the Borg in the start to try to brake, but nothing happened, so really sorry for him, but that's racing in this kind of weather. But yeah, still a good time after the things in the first corner.
And you had your fair share of drama yesterday as well. Not going so smoothly for this one, but at least you're still well up there, sitting TQ as things stand heading into qualifying 4. Any changes are you going to make for the start, given what happened this morning?
No, not big changes. You just try to be calm in the start, and now you know it's really slippery. And I got a few points to P2. I think it's Sondre and Brinteson. So just stay cool and try to find some more speed. And you need to stay really calm in this weather. But yeah, you want to win.
And how nervous do you get before a start, especially in conditions like this, and going into an uphill gravel hairpin that's turn 1?
I'm pretty calm, because you need to stay calm in this weather. You need to not be too aggressive on the green light. You need to slip away the clutch and be calm. So everything works fine. We will see in the Q4.
What's the game plan then for Q4? Same as ever?
Hopefully we do a better start, but again, just take it calm and get those points in and take top qualifier and be first in the semi.
Good luck. Thank you very much to you. Robin Larson there, of course, talking about the start that cost him this morning in qualifying 3. It's all to play for in qualifying 4. To take you through all the action, Martin Haven and Dan Rook.
Thank you, Laura. Well, if a Swede can't remain phlegmatic under pressure, I don't know who can. He's got all the cards he needs, hasn't he, Robin Larson? He, like he said, he's just got to stay calm and go to that area of trust and trust the car and trust his performance.
Yeah, he doesn't have to go out there and blitz it and win it, but because he's got that few points barrier. But typical Robin, he's going to want to do that. But it just depends on his start. Hopefully he can get a better launch away from P3 on the grid.
Well, where he is, you know, where he was in that one on pole, the right-hand lane, that's where the river's running down the hill, isn't it, up from corner 1. So that's particularly slippery. Now, of course, we're going to get into supercars second. First, we're going to get into Super 1600. And there's a couple of youngsters that we need to look at, Ollie Steinsholt and Jack Thorne, who really put a bad day yesterday for both of them, very firmly on the back burner and really launched themselves up towards the top of the field. So they need to do that again in these final qualifiers if they're to get into the top 12, because at the moment both of them are missing the cut for the semis.
Yeah, they were a long way back. I think it was almost 20 odd points, wasn't it? They were behind. So to pick that up through the next two the qualifying they just had, they worked their way up, but they need to do the same performance again, otherwise they're just not going to get that points gap.
Interesting, actually, that Pontus Tiedemann, who had problems in the supercars, his time for Q3 would only have put him 4th among the Super 1600s. That's how much of a problem he had. Even with four-wheel drive and 600 horsepower and yada, 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 they still struggled. Well, as you can see, the fans, like us, are really prepared. Nobody's wearing a chair just yet. But as we get to the Super 1600s, as you heard Laura say, it is Eidar Nureyev who is fastest of all so far. He's currently TQ after 3 qualifying rounds. Yuri Belevsky is second, and although he races under a Swiss license, clearly it is a Russian 1-2. Gergely Marton lies 3rd fastest. So there you can see the grid and the rivers that run through it, to steal the name of a famous film. From right to left on your screen, that's downhill, just coming into shot by the Monster Energy barrier below the timing tower. That's where the track comes in, and it is downhill there, so the river just kind of runs across the front of the grid. And that's why some of them, you can see there are bigger and smaller patches of water. Dan, as they're grabbing gears away from the start, some of them seem to falter. That's when they're wheel spinning across their little personal lakes, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's so patchy and varied grip levels, and you just got to hope that your position from the last qualifying race got you in a good position for this one to get the launch. We saw it in the ERX. Tamas Karai got so much wheel spin off the line, and well, it did across the board. But he managed to get through the puddles before everyone else and just shot off. So it is a crucial moment to try and avoid all of the dampness that you can.
So here is our grid then. Marcel Snuyers in the middle, the 52-year-old Dutchman in the bright yellow Renault Megane. These teeth are not working. I should have gone to yesterday's set. Marcel Succi, the 45-year-old in the Peugeot 207 on the outside, rolled in Q3. Real problems with the car, it seemed, getting it round to turn 1 and then definitely into turn 2. And Jeremy Lombeck is there as well, so in his Citroën C2. So 3 cars in the first grid for the final run of qualifying for Super 1600s, round 4 of the FIA European Rallycross Championship here at Estering in Germany. And away we go, and look at all the wheel spin. Showing first Marcel Snuyers in the Renault Megane, and he makes it safely up the hill into turn 1, and that means that behind him Lombeck is going to be eating his spray, and in fact Marcel Succi not making it through here, so onto this grid has gone Guru Maya Moem in her red and black C2. It's a 19-year-old Norwegian, the only girl racing in the Super 1600 category.
You can see the track here is looking increasingly slippy as Lambert makes a move on Snuyers, trying to go up his inside on turn 2, but then the outside for turn 3, and can't quite make it work. He's got a big bank in the way of him there, so he smartly backed out of that one to avoid contact with the wall.
We had a tiny little 5-minute respite in the rain just before Q4 was about to start. It began again. I mean, it is proper cricketing weather. For those of you back home in the UK, you'll know exactly what that means. If you're supposed to play Australia at cricket in England, basically it rains. Snuyers leads, Lombeck second. Maya Moem has taken the Joker, and she did this before on the first lap to just try and give herself a little bit of visibility as much as anything else, Dan. So it's not so much about being held up by the car in front's lack of pace, it's the lack of visibility that's hampering it.
Yeah, so you can see the difference between Snuyers. You can see the bright yellow of the car still there, and then Lambert behind as wipers are working flat out just to try and clear that mud, whereas Snuyers has only got water to contend with. So it really does make such a big difference. It's difficult to drive through mud, especially in these conditions. You know, I know firsthand there's been situations where my wipers have not been able to clear the dirt, and I've ended up going off the track and all sorts because you just physically can't see, and you're doing the best you can, but you know, you're in a car at the end of the day that's being mud thrown at the front of it, and it's very, very hard to tackle.
Well, John Lombeck also taking himself out of the spray of Snuyers, so he jokers on lap 2, and that gives him a little bit of visibility. And for Maya Moem, she's now stuck behind Lombeck, so she will be back in that wall of spray. For those of you who, the closest you'll come to this is trying to pass a truck on a really wet motorway where you just go blind for a while because of the volume of water hitting the screen, and that's without the mud. And that's exactly what they're trying to avoid here. Snuyers will go onto the Joker at the end of this last lap. Lombeck second, 3.1 back. He's a little quicker than the leader now. He wasn't on lap 1 or lap 2, but lap 3, 46.7 to 47.2 of the leader. So he's pulling away from Maya Moem and closing on Snuyers. And actually, Lombeck should, by the end of this lap, the rate of closing, be close enough potentially, I'm not sure, to put Snuyers at the line. Might be to my chickens a little early there.
Gap gone down to 2 seconds, which could just be enough for him to come out in front. It's slower in the Joker lap for the Super 1600s. They don't have that traction to pull him out of the corner, so it's going to be really close in the merge here. As now we're going to watch for the...
Oh, Snoyers completely makes a mess of it, and that gave the win to Lombeck. I think he had it anyway, but Snoyers, that was a shocker of a Joker lap. Almost looked like he stalled on that left-hand apex. Car just came to a complete halt. Maybe they're starting to dig a little loose hole there. So the rut's forming at the top of the hill. So Jeremy Lombeck taking that one from Marcel Snoyers and Guru Mayamurm. We didn't have Jano Ligo yesterday or today. Marcel Sushi not starting this one after the rolling Q3. Now, where was he? Now, he was only 18, so it doesn't matter, to be honest, because he's not going to make the semis unless there are mass disqualifications. So away from the start. Again, lane 2 and lane 3 seems to have been pretty much the better lanes.
Snoyers here already had the advantage of the clear track. You can see there now the contact between them at the middle of lap 1, but Lombeck choosing to go and back out of it and went into the Joker lap following on from that. So it was a smart move from him, and he was able to put lap times in actually that was a second and a half faster than Snoyers, so he definitely had pace over him. He just didn't have the track position which he wanted.
Yeah, and Snoyers here in the Joker, look how slow that is. Just really crawls in and crawls out. It's not like he came in so hot that he actually had to stop it to get round the hairpin. He just completely made a hash of that. Wrong gear, no traction, or whatever it was very slow indeed, and that didn't help him. So we move on to our next grid. So all my carefully prepared grid sheets now go out the window. So we should have Lars Rosland, we should have Jolly in the Skoda Fabia, and Igor Sanin. Yeah, so those are the remaining 3 from race 2 after Guru Mayamurm should have been in lane 4, but she was moved into what would otherwise have been a 2-car first race. So Rosland on pole, Jolly, the 48-year-old Hungarian, alongside him in the Fabia, and Igor Sanin, the 20-year-old Russian, in the Renault Twingo. That's the one with the green and black, and that's been enterprisingly driven. He's not always found the gaps, but he goes hunting for them, doesn't he?
Yeah, certainly.
So who gets the best start? My money's on Sanin in lane 3. And there you go, Rosland from pole. Just whatever I gamble on, just go the opposite way, you'll be quids in. Sanin going high, wide and handsome the long way around the outside. Rosland, though, makes a mess of it in the middle of the corner, and that shuts the door, and Jolly is coming through 3 wide over the brow. What could possibly go wrong there?
Yeah, so they've managed to shuffle themselves into order before they get to the tarmac section, which we heard from Brinson after Q3. He said it was very, very slippery, but Rosland to the back of Jolly there, but Jolly able to back it up enough so it doesn't run wide as Rosland runs right out there. The door open for Sanin, but he can't get through because he's then on the outside of the corner, can't get through there. So I think we're going to be seeing Sanin go for the Joker lap now. It makes perfect sense for him. He's got nothing to lose and so much to gain with that extra visibility. Yeah,
absolutely right. He dives straight in. And that's a much better Joker lap. Carried a little bit of speed at the apex, didn't lose too much on the way out. We'll wait to see how that deals in the hand at the end. So Rosland now closing a little on Jolly. Of course, right up behind the Skoda. Lars Christian Rosland, 25-year-old Norwegian.
Running a bit wide there, managed to get out into the wet, loose stuff there and lost a lot of time to Sanin now. So Sanin's going to be praying that he goes to the Joker lap in front of him, otherwise he's just going to be caught up in the spray again.
Yeah. So Jolly not jokering this time round and probably won't until the last lap. Rosland, though, keeps pushing. And in fact, actually, Sanin hasn't caught up that much, so he's still got reasonable visibility. 2.5 gap should be enough to him. So Jolly the leader, the Hungarian. Rosland in second place. And what was the last lap for Rosland? 46.100 to 46.107 for Jolly. So Jolly 0.07 of a second slower than Rosland.
Sanin on a 45.2. So he is he's definitely the pace man out there at the moment, and you can see now he's caught up to the back of Rosland, and he is now going to be in that spray, which he really doesn't want to be. So I don't think Rosland's going to go to the Joker lap. There's no point. There's nothing to cover him off with. So Sanin's going to have to put up with that spray for an extra lap if he can't find a way through here. As Rosland goes wide on the penultimate corner, can Sanin get a run up the hill into turn 1 and look up the inside? He's going to go for a move, I think. He's diving on the brakes. Oh, lovely move. He just needs to keep it tight on the exit.
That's the drama, isn't it? He goes in very shallow and very hot, and he manages to cover off Rosland. So he moves up into second place. And I'm not sure Jolly's got enough pace and enough lead to win this one. I think this might be Sanin's at the line. Last time round, 45.48 for Jolly, 45.97 for Rosland, but a 44.5 for Sanin. He's got the pace. He's 1.6 back as they went down into turn 2. How far behind will he be, or will he be behind? This is going to be close. Rosland goes last lap for the Joker as well. Sanin takes it. It's not as close as it might have been. Jolly didn't get a great Joker. 8/10 back, and Rosland 3 seconds behind. So again, aggressive tactics for Igor Sanin. Didn't get the best of the starts. He actually had a decent start, but didn't make the best of corner 1. So jokered at the end of the first lap. Renault Twingo, the winner from the Skoda of Jolly, and Rosland in the Opel Corsa. So they slot in ahead of Lombeck, Snoyers and Meyer-Murm. So we won't see Lombeck, Snoyers or Meyer-Murm in the semis or in the finals.
Sanin with a good start, didn't he? But couldn't quite make it work as Rosland on his inside also got a good start, trying to go around the outside the long way around, and the two of them squabbling just allowed Jolly the door to open. He said, "Thank you very much, I am taking that hole."
Yeah, down at turn 2, Jolly had his nose in front. Rosland drifted wide, but not wide enough even for Sanin's eager beaver gap-finding skills. So he jokered on lap 1 and was the quickest man. Rosland nearly gave it all away again. Sanin had to work hard for it, but he doesn't mind that. He makes the space, doesn't he?
Yeah, it was a fantastic move there by Sanin to make his way up for the win. And I believe Laura is going to speak to him now.
Well done, Igor. A great drive. What happened at the start, and ultimately the Joker as well?
Yeah, I was on a third place in the start, and in the first corner I was outside. Guys was inside, and it was faster than me. But my spot said me Joker on the first lap. It was a good tactic. Thank you for him. Thank you for my team.
Yeah, a very good tactic for you, and hopefully will put you in good stead moving forward here into the semi-finals.
Yeah, I don't know what you guys will be in heat 4, and we're waiting. I don't know.
A nervous wait then. Well done. Thank you very much.
Well, after Q3, Sanin was 5th fastest qualifier, or 5th in the points, so he should make the semis with no problems at all. Moving on to our next grid, on pole position is the 18-year-old Czech Thomas Krajcek in the Citigo. Radoslav Rachowski, the 36-year-old pole, alongside him in the Fabia. Artur Egorov, the Russian, in his Audi A1. Pavel Wimmer, the 47-year-old Czech driver, in his Skoda Fabia, and Frenchman Anthony Jan, 33 years old, in the Renault Clio. He starts on driver's left on the right-hand side of the screen as you look at it for race 3 of 5 in this 4th and final round of qualifying in the Super 1600s. Now we've got a full 5-car grid. I wonder how lane 5 is going to go here, because that has been producing some quick getaways. We heard that the drivers confirming what we've been seeing with our eyes. So out in that outside lane is Frenchman Anthony Jan. Nice wheel spin from him from the middle of the grid though. Artur Egorov has got the lead. And Krajcek from the inside, underneath the red car of Radoslav Rachowski, moves up into second, way out higher and wide and handsome around the outside. Pavel Wimmer, car number 3, doesn't quite get third. Skoda Fabia battle for third, but it's the Audi of Egorov that leads.
Yeah, Egorov had a fantastic start there, didn't he? Managed to get the RPM correct and had minimum wheel spin compared to everybody else, and managed to pull away there. So as he's made a mistake there, Krajcek's managed to get through on turn 2. So Egorov maybe running a bit wide on the brakes there. It's slightly slippier out there today, this qualifying session in Q3, I believe. So maybe just being caught out there at turn 2 and Krajicek taking full advantage of getting up his inside.
And that's the real problem. If you're the leader, you make the mistake first. You find that it's less grippy than you thought first, and that's exactly what happened to Egorov. But the Audi's got plenty of pace. Krajicek leading in the Skoda City Go, and Egorov is right behind him. Rashkovsky lying third there, and just as Krajicek was taking over from Egorov after Egorov made a mistake at turn 2, behind Wimmer made a huge mistake at turn 2, just drifted left out of shot. Rashkovsky and Jan both went by him. No mistakes this time for Krajicek though. He's got to cling on here, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's really got to battle, but now the Audi of Egorov is in his mud spray, so he has the disadvantage here, but he's taken a tighter line there on the penultimate corner. He's got really good drive out of here. He definitely seems to have a little bit more pace than Krajicek, I must say, but he's not quite able to pull enough to get past him.
Krajicek left the door wide open there, didn't he? He took a really wide line up the hill, just squaring off the corner, V'ing the corner so he could fire it down the hill, but it leaves the door wide open. It does leave you a little vulnerable if you haven't got a big gap.
It is a very risky move to do that. You need to have a lot of space behind you to be able to do it. And he does have enough of a gap back to Egorov to be able to do that line, but it does give him advantage all the way down the hill. He takes better exit speed out of the corner, and we see Egorov going for the joker lap now, so he's trying to get out the mud spray of Krajicek in front of him, and he should come out in front of the Skoda behind, which he does very comfortably. So good spot there by his spotters to get him in and out and give him another clean lap to try and close down the gap.
I think Rashkovsky's going so slowly, even not having joker, that Egorov could probably even have jokered on the last lap. I think maybe his guy said, go on, you can get him. And then when he couldn't, okay, get out the spray of Krajicek. That little City Go looks fabulous in the Skoda factory colours, doesn't it? It really, really works well. It makes the car look an awful lot less sort of sit up and beg than it otherwise would be. And Krajicek flinging it round with abandon in the lead. Final lap for him, and joker kind of got the joker right. This might be quite close with Egorov. The Audi's coming with speed. That is close. That's about 2/10, 1900ths of a second. Krajicek over Egorov. Rashkovsky third. Jan fourth. And Wimmer, Pavel Wimmer's race completely came apart there. Wimmer only 9th. And how many? 8 points ahead of 12th. That might be a problem for Pavel Wimmer. The FIA driver went off at turn 2 on lap 1, went very wide at lap 1, and 321.4.5. That's not going to help him. So he's already out of the top 8 so far, and that's where he was in 9th place in the qualifiers. So Pavel Wimmer could be in trouble to make the semi-finals. Well, he was with the white nose, didn't make a great start. It was a really good start from the Russian in the Audi from the middle of the grid. Egorov getting ahead of Krajicek. Wimmer at that stage already struggling to get the car to turn.
We saw the change between these two at turn 2, which we're missing out slightly on the replay, but Krajicek with that wide line in turn 1 meant that he didn't actually get too much understeer there, so it was a fantastic job by him to maintain the lead, and he went on to take the win, and Laura's with him now.
Thomas, well done. Very close at the end there. How was it for you in the car?
Yeah, the track was very slippery, but I must push maximum because we had the bad result in previous Qs, so I think that was good, and we will see if we go to the semi-final.
We'll wait and see. Thank you very much. Well done.
I think he's earned himself a semi-final spot. He was only 1 point out of 12th. I think that's enough. He's the fastest qualifier so far, and only 10 cars left to go. Not necessarily all of them are going to match his pace, so I think that might just have done enough. I think he will probably move in, and Egorov, who was only the 10th fastest qualifier, he will probably move up. Pavel Wimmer, though, I think he might be in trouble. Was 9th and has dropped down the order. Our next grid, race 4, 16-year-old Norwegian Ole Henry Steinholt in his Fabia. Then the 20-year-old compatriot Marius Bermingrud, also Skoda Fabia mounted. It's a Skoda Fabia for Josef Schuster, the 24-year-old Czech. Oh, it's a Skoda Fabia for Marat Knaisev, the 22-year-old Russian, and it's a Renault Twingo for Siim Saluri, the 35-year-old Estonian. Saluri was one of the big winners, wasn't he, in the last qualifying heats in Q3. Saluri there with the black nose on the Renault Twingo on the right-hand side of your picture. But it's a bit of a Fabia fest on this bit, isn't it? 4 out of the 5 cars, Skoda Fabias. So let's see who comes out on top here. Steinsholt not qualifying as of now, needs a huge result, doesn't get a great start. Good start though for Bermingrud and also for the Russian Knaisev. So he goes into the lead, and that's the Twingo. Siim Saluri goes around the outside. That's not working well for Olli Steinsholt, the 16-year-old Norwegian, the youngest man in the field. Really needs to win this one. He's going to have to fight very hard for it though. Bermingrud, who had a dreadful Q3, is gone already, and Steinsholt clashes with Schuster.
Yeah, so Steinsholt there tried to go up the inside of Saluri, but then had Schuster for company, and they're trying to go, they're going 2 abreast through here. That's not going to work, lads. It's really tight.
They get through, and Steinsholt wins that battle of pointy elbows. He needs a big result here. He and Jack Thorne, who comes up in the final heat, both made big inroads in Q3 after a disastrous day one. And Saluri, after jokering, is going to go underneath Steinsholt, and Schuster 3 wide. The Twingo driver's got both elbows out now, trying to hang on to 3rd place, and that's holding them all up. Schuster goes through though, and Steinsholt with problems. Looks like he's broken something on the car. That might just have broken a toe link or possibly even popped a drive shaft. And Saluri there, rotating the car by using the barrier on the rear arch.
An effective manner, isn't it? But yeah,
it's one way.
Steinsholt unfortunately dropping back, so not seeing the same form we saw from him in Q3. I saw him when he came past our commentary position earlier. He'd lost a bumper in that drama as they came up over the hill on the last lap. And yeah, so he's dropped right back now off the order, so don't think we're going to see him in the semi-final. But Schuster as well, he probably needs to get a good result. Where was he? Oh, he's up there, he's 6th, okay, so he was 6th, so he's not going too bad there, but I think he's probably going to lose out to Saluri when the Joker lap comes in. But Knaisev in front, he's got a gap of 3.5. He's looking good for this race. We're coming up to the last lap on the next turn around, so we're going to see him go on the last lap.
Yeah, definitely. Bermingrud as well. He's 3.5 seconds back. He's got nothing to gain and everything to lose by going in now. There goes Bermingrud round in 2nd. 3rd fastest qualifier overnight, dropped to 4th in Q3, and I think it might drop again. Joker this time for Steinsholt. Saluri stays out in the Renault. Schuster's gone through in 3rd. Bermingrud 2nd. And Knaisev in the lead, so the Russian still 4 seconds clear. These are quick lap times from him: 44.3, 44.5, 44.4, 45.4. He's getting slower. His first lap so far was his fastest from the standing start, and with all that elbows out behind him, that gave him the gap he needed. Last lap he comes down into the Joker in front of us. Bermingrud will, and Schuster will be ahead of Saluri. Yeah, Saluri only 4th, and Steinsholt, I'm afraid, I don't see him making the semis at all. So a good run in Q3 for the teenager, but Ole Henry Steinsholt, winner of 2 heats, the 16-year-old Norwegian, one yesterday, one today. And unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be enough to move him up the order. Did he have a 3:23.658? That's not enough, surely. And Saluri is going to be in real trouble. He was 12th. Krajcek's already gone quicker. Rajkovski has gone quicker than him. So Siim Saluri is, yeah, he's going to be right on the bubble, isn't he? If not just outside it. So Knaisev, the winner, Marat Knaisev, and Marius Bermingrud 2nd in that one. Knaisev from lane 4, getting a really good start. Bermingrud goes with him. Then with Saluri going the long way around the outside, it almost worked for the Renault driver in this mass of Skoda Fabias, but in the end he just kind of got elbowed away a little bit.
bodywork flying there as well from the contact between the lot of them. So yeah, really elbows out stuff for this Q3 race. You can see the rear bumper's gone on Steinshold's car, and this is the freeway contact all the way down the hill, and we saw Steinshold drop out of that one.
Yeah, desperation setting in there in the final qualifier, but for Marek Knajtsev out front and clear, and that will move him further up the order. Good race win for the Russian, who is with Laura.
Marat, you're P7 coming into today. How important was it to get this good qualifying win here?
Да, сейчас ехать стабильно тяжело, погодные условия меняются, но получилось найти правильные настройки и как бы себя настроить на такую погоду. Вроде все идет неплохо, но вы знаете, я не люблю лукавить.
Thank you, best of luck.
Fantastic stuff, Marat. Yeah, my Russian's got no better overnight, I'm afraid. Didn't pick a single bone out of that one at all, but he didn't exactly have the most jubilant expression on his face, did he? I think he's feeling perhaps he's a little underperforming, although he does say at least he's starting to get a feel for the track in these wet conditions. So, final Super 1600 qualifiers, round 4 of the FIA European Rallycross Championship here at Estering in Germany, and our fastest qualifier so far, Aidar Nureyev, will start on pole position in the Audi A1. Alongside him, a man who has been super quick in free practice and almost as quick in the qualifiers, 21-year-old Hungarian Gergely Marton. Yuri Belevsky, the 34-year-old Russian under a Swiss flag in his Audi, lines up in the middle. Jack Thorne, now he was one of the two big gainers from Q3. Jack Thorne is 4th in the Twingo, and Timur Shigbutinov, the 26-year-old Russian in his Audi A1, starts in lane 5. And as you saw from that graphic, Jack Thorne there with the yellow highlights on his chrome blue Renault in 16th place overnight. This has to go really well for him. It has to be quick. He doesn't have to win it, but it has to be really, really a quick qualifying race.
Yeah, he needs a rapid run, but he's not got the start, and it's actually Shigbutinov from the outside of the grid there got the start he needed, and is cut across the front of everybody else before they got anywhere near turn 1, so he's had a fantastic run there to turn 1.
Nureyev in second. Third place is on the outside, Belevsky on the inside, Marton. Marton goes through, that is the blue, white and black on the Hungarian's car, and Jack Thorne down the inside of Shigbutinov. And a little nudge there for the Russian, that's going to see him drift out wide. Now, the problem for Jack, one of the problems for Jack yesterday was he got a 5-second penalty for contact just like that under braking, although it was nose to tail rather than wheel to wheel. So will they see that as a racing incident, or will he end up with a time penalty that he can't afford to carry? Shigbutinov leads in green, Nureyev second, and who jokered then?
Jack Thorne. So
right.
Thorne's gone to the Joker lap. I think he felt like he had pace on Marton as well, so because he managed to get past Belevsky and then was all over the back of Marton, so he's given himself that clear room. You know, he's not in with a bunch of slow drivers now. He doesn't have to worry too much about getting caught up in their spray and everything like that, so he's going to be looking for a really solid time.
Because for him, it has to be basically him.
Oh, Shigbutinov gone wide, sorry, nearly in the gravel there, and Nureyev, both of them dropping it and changed for position there.
So there is a change for position. Shigbutinov goes ahead. Beg your pardon, Nureyev goes back ahead of Shigbutinov. Marton still third, Belevsky fourth. And Jack Thorne doesn't need that to happen. These guys are all in. If they have a slow final qualifying run, it doesn't matter. For Jack Thorne, it really, really matters. It's all about his speed over these 4 laps, not what happens with anybody else.
You can see him big sideways, I saw as he came out a shot into the corner there, but he's got a gap of 1.9 to Belevsky, so he's not going to quite make up enough spaces here, I don't think, unless these guys start to squabble. You can see them, they're all going line astern, they're all in the same team. I'm sure they've just discussed some tactics not to take each other out at this point. They're all in. Yeah. So yeah, for Jack, he's kind of a bit up against it with all these guys from one team in his heat race and not able to take the advantage of it. As we see, Marton has gone to the Joker lap now, so that'll be to cover off Jack, and Jack was coming now through the final corner and Marton's on the exit of the Joker lap, so Martin has already got Jack Thorne at this point, so Jack's maybe not quite got the pace that he needs.
And if it's enough, it doesn't have to be enough to beat these guys, it just has to be enough to get him into the top 12. 48.8 his first lap with the Joker, 45.3 and 47.0 lap 3 was not a quick one. Another mistake, this is Nureyev this time, almost bins it at turn 2. It's been raining pretty steadily, Dan. It looks like it's getting even more treacherous. And actually one of, for Jack and also for Ollie Henry Steinsholt, going early in Q3 helped them because the track was at its least wet and they actually had some of the best conditions. Now he's having some of the worst.
Yeah, now there's all the mud dragged onto the track from the previous races, which makes it harder.
All right, well, he gives it everything he's got after a breakage that was not of his own making in Q1, after a penalty in Q2, fighting to recover from that with an ill-handling car. After a great run in Q3, has he done enough? It's a 3-minute 14.431 for Jack Thorne. Does he get through into the top 12? After qualifying, Thomas Krajicek was 13th, Sim Saluri was 12th after Q3. Well, that was not a quick heat, as you can see. Look, Shigebutinov only 5th fastest, Gergely Martin, who finished 3rd, only 7th fastest. But it's page 2 which will tell us where the cutoff is at the end of qualifying. 21 cars today, and Jack Thorne and Yuri Belevsky are both in. Josef Schuster is in, and Lars Christian Rosland is out of the top 12. So, from that, unless there is anything that the stewards want to have a look at, it looks as though, with the yellow highlights, Jack Thorne might just have pulled out a huge result, and that will be one of the stories of Super 1600. The other is going to be the fight of all the Russian drivers in the Audis, isn't it?
Yeah, so I do believe that the track is getting slippery. You can see the contact here between Thorne and Belevsky, but I think that one they're not going to look into that. He already was on the inside there, and it's tricky on the brakes to keep it in a straight line. So not like he had yesterday, where he pushed the car in front of him on. This is the mistake here for the two Audis out in front, where they changed position. Shigebutinov misjudging the braking point, and Nureyev did as well, but not quite as bad.
And then Martin ahead in 3rd place of Belevsky. And then again, Nureyev almost binning it. And the top 3 taking their joker on the final lap. So here is how they stand after Q4. TQ, Aidar Nureyev with an all but perfect score. Marek Knightsev fastest in the final round of qualifying, 2nd fastest. Yuri Belevsky and Gergely Martin will be 2nd in their respective semis, then Igor Sanin and Marius Bermingrud. So those are the top 8. And no, it wasn't on the time. He didn't quite have enough points. How far away was Jack Thorne? 117 to 128 points. So Pavel Wimmer just clung on. Sim Saluri did not make it through. So those are the top 12. Egorov, Krajicek, Jolly and Wimmer will be in the semis, and from them on down, it's going to be watching from the sidelines. So tough day one, Jack Thorne, you know, and also Ollie Steinsholt really pushing hard in Q3. They had better conditions than some of the later runners, but in the end there was just too much of a gap to try and make the top dozen. Yeah,
I can't help but feel that if they had a better day yesterday, then they would be right in there.
Yep.
You know, in the semi-finals. That they both showed great pace at this track, and it's just a shame that their day one didn't go as well as they wanted it to.
Now, we haven't really lost many of our expected front runners. Sim Saluri was on the bubble and ended up getting cut out, but we haven't lost too many of our expected front runners in Super 1600. We're getting ready now to go into Supercar, and the question is, will that remain the case for our Supercars as well? Well, the umbrellas are up, lots of ponchos. Anybody wearing a chair? Can't see it yet. Might need one in the booth soon if the wind picks up, but we are ready for the first of our Supercar Euro qualifiers in round 4. The FIA European Rallycross Championship presented by Monster Energy, the first of our 4 grids. And Christer Dahlmans, the 54-year-old Swede, on pole position. The newcomer, I beg your pardon, he's 2nd in the middle of the grid. Attila Moser with his Peugeot 2H on the outside, and Stein Jensen has been moved onto pole in this one because Aleš Fučík, the 46-year-old Czech's Polo, has not made it out. Fučík had that sort of odd incident where he was going backwards up the bank out of turn 1. We sort of surmised there might be something mechanically fairly wrong with the car, and so it appears to have proved. So Stein Jensen, the white Fiesta, the 61-year-old Norwegian. Total age of this grid is 166 years old. Let's see who comes out of the veterans class best. Head-to-head, Moser again, an epic start, but the car was fighting him all the way through Q3. Let's hope they've made some changes.
Yeah, he seemed to have got a better run that time, but it was Jensen on the inside who got the good launch, and you can see the dirt they're dragging down the straight. Look at how much spray is coming off. It's all muddy stuff that's coming off, and that is like driving on ice. It's worse than, well, obviously it's worse than driving on as if it was just water. It is absolutely horrendous to drive on, and these guys are really up for the challenge, and I think that actually the heat races later on are going to be the track conditions are going to be worse. Of course, we're going to have the faster drivers, so naturally it's going to be the faster of the heats, but in terms of conditions, it's probably going to be the worst we see it all weekend.
Absolutely right. Our rookie, the Swede, Christer Daumans, takes his joker at the end of lap 1 to get out of that filth. Daumans, as I mentioned yesterday, a former multiple snowmobile champion in Sweden. For his 50th birthday, friends and family bought him a go in a Hedstrom Engineering supercar, and he suddenly became a convert to rallying. Makes his supercar debut in the European Rallycross Championship this weekend. But here's our leader. This is Stein Jensen, 61-year-old Norwegian.
Driving a OMSE Ford Fiesta. I believe this was the car used by Oliver Eriksson in the Nordic series. I'm not too sure. You might have to call me up on that. If one of the Erikssons are watching, do let me know. Yeah, Jensen is also driving in the full-time in the Nordic series over there, and he's gaining experience as well in Europe.
Yeah. So Moser in second place, Attila Moser, the Hungarian, but Jensen making this look fairly copybook stuff. Very slow indeed around turn 2. Real problem with those differentials is they're so aggressive and grabby, aren't they, even on a sort of full wet setting, that if you try and apply much power before you've got the steering straight again, it's just going to push you straight off into the turn 2 gravel.
Yeah, it's all mechanical diffs on these, so to adjust them you have to take them out of the casing and change it all that way. So it's not a, it's not a 5-minute job to get them changed between wet and dry. And yeah, like you said, they are very aggressive. As Moser there, maybe a bit too much of a grab on the handbrake trying to get the rotation, and nearly ended up in the barrier, but managed to keep it going.
Yeah, you've got to be a bit of a drift star in these conditions, particularly at turn 1, to really get the car firing it all the way around the way that you want to, the way that Robin Larson was showing us. And the leader's gone off. Jensen throws it off at turn 2 under braking. And that would have been the front grabbing and just locking and just sliding straight off. And there's only one word you're saying when that's happening, and it's not a nice one, is it?
Probably not one that we can say on commentary, I would say.
Jensen now has to take the joker, so he's going to come across the line third, led onto the last lap, last off it. Disaster for Stein Jensen, and Attila Moser takes the win, so he at least gets the win, even if that might not necessarily be enough to move him up. He was at the tail of the field in the qualifiers yesterday, but that was properly a veterans field. Attila Moser 51, Christer Daumans 54, and Stein Egil Jensen 61 years old. So the total age of the field 166. Pretty much an England cricket score. No Volkswagen Polo for Aleš Fučík, and Mario Barbosa did one qualifier yesterday after free practice, broke camshaft on the Citroen and has not been seen since. But again, Moser making a big start. Car looked a little bit less of a handful, but not much less of a handful, the blue car.
Yeah, I mean, everything is a handful in these conditions. It's so slippery for these guys to try and tackle the track. And yeah, I'm sure he went back after Q3 and had a chat with his team about maybe trying to make it not so aggressive to drive. As we're going to see Jensen's dropping it? No. But yeah.
Yeah, Jensen looked to have it all made in the shade. The other two jokered earlier. Moser, yeah, trying to wrestle it round the hairpin at turn 1. Didn't work for him too well, but Hungarian colours proudly displayed on the roof of his chrome blue car. And as he went by Jensen, Jensen at least managed to get himself out of the gravel trap. But where was he? He was 14th, so he was unlikely to make it through into qualifying. Although between Mandy August in 12th, Rodolphe Audran, Stein Jensen and Krista Dalmans, they were all tied, just 5 points behind her. So there was a big tussle to try and make it into the top 12. Now this grid, Rodolphe Audran, Paulus Pleskivas and Pontus Tiedemann. We did not expect Tiedemann to be this far back, did we, today? But he had a shocking start. He said fresh tyres, brand new wets when he was on pole in Q3. He just didn't have enough revs and basically too much grip stalled the engine. I mean, that's unbelievable. With 600 horsepower, you can't have enough power to break traction.
Yeah, it was disappointing for him, and now he's in a position where he needs to get the start, but from the start he can take a really, really good time.
Yeah. So this time I think he'll hook a few more 100 RPM before he sidesteps the clutch. Ready to race. The orange car on pole, Rodolphe Audran, the 48-year-old Frenchman in the Peugeot 208. A good start from the outside from 28-year-old Pontus Tiedemann, the Swede, but up through the gears, Paulus Pleskivas, the Lithuanian. He moves up into the lead in turn 1 and completely turned around. Pontus Tiedemann, his day is going from bad to worse. Wow, that's not what he needed. Now, whether Audran gets a penalty or not, Tiedemann's, he was only 10th after Q3. This needs to be a heroic recovery. Now, he made a heroic recovery. He was very quick to come all the way from the back to the front in Q3. But as we said at the beginning of the programme here, his actual time for the heat would only have left him 4th or 5th in the Super 1600s. So much time got lost.
Yeah, and he's lost so much time here now as well, with Audran going to the Joker lap, and Tiedemann is still not even on the back of him yet, and he hasn't taken the Joker lap, so he has got a lot of work to do, and you can see him really pushing the car on. He came in there hot and got a really good exit, actually. He's got a good drive down towards turn 2, but sooner or later he's going to end up in Audran's spray, and he's not going to be able to capitalise.
And that's going to be sooner, not later. You know, people are sitting at home like me going, so why didn't he joker then? If Audran had jokered, he was already 6 or 7 laps, seconds behind him. Why didn't he also joker at the end of lap 1? Why is he now going to get stuck behind the Frenchman?
I mean, I think now with Audran jokering, it's dropped him further towards Tiedemann, as Tiedemann has gone to the Joker lap now. Yeah. But with Audran going to the Joker and Tiedemann not, it gave him the opportunity to try and get past him on the run-up to turn 1 if it was possible. And then if he was in front of him, he could then wait and do the Joker lap a little bit later on, because he would have had the time to then gap him to then go into the Joker and still come out in front.
Well, Audran made a bit of a mess of turn 1 there, and so suddenly Tiedemann, despite having jokered on the last lap, is almost right behind him. Pleskivas just 3.8 in front. You know, the speed that Tiedemann managed to produce after the stall in Q3, he still won the heat. And Pleskivas jokers now.
Yeah, so Pleskivas had to go in to try and cover off the assault of the guys behind, and it's looking to me like he's already done it, so it was a good move to go in there, but I think he probably had the gap to be able to go in there before. The guys behind him are lapping faster.
Tiedemann 43.1 on the last lap. That's quicker than either of the other two have produced so far without jokers. And Tiedemann goes the long way and then gets the inside line down into turn 2, but Audran shuts the door and Tiedemann can't afford contact there. And no! Look at the flames popping and banging there as it scrabbles through the gears. He's pulling gears there as fast as he can. It's hitting the limiter and just spinning away all of that horsepower. Pleskivas, Audran, Tiedemann. Now, if somebody had shown you that grid and said who's going to win it, that would not have been the order you'd have gone for. But Pleskivas, look at that. That is a good run. 3 minutes 3.102. Tiedemann 3 minutes 6.425. Wow. So Paulus Pleskivas, the Lithuanian, wins it. I wonder how Laura's Lithuanian is, from Rodolphe Audran and Pontus Tiedemund, about as good as a French and a Swedish, I think, probably. So they are the fastest qualifiers so far, ahead of Attila Moser, Krista Daumans and Stein Jensen. Pontus Tiedemund dropped from 4th overnight to 10th after Q3. Boy, oh boy, didn't go well from here, got very sideways. Audran, in his defence, had nowhere else to go. I mean, he could have stopped dead, but hang on a minute, it's a race.
Yeah, I mean, and for me, I think Tiedemann was already going to be nosing it into the barrier at that point, so if anything, Audran's helped him to get away from nosing it into the barrier and was able to then do a 360 on the spot. But I think he had a bit of red mist take over as we saw him make a few mistakes later on in the race.
Yeah, down there at turn 2 on lap 3, he tried to get the pass on Audran, couldn't get through there, and then the frustration of the big slide and all of that wheel spin. So Pontus Tiedemund coming across the line in 3rd position, and our winner is Paulius Pleskavas, and Laura is there.
Paulius, you're P11 coming into Q4. How important was the win in the bid to make the semi-final?
Actually, we've had a problem with the suspension. Now it seems everything is okay. Glad to have a good start in Q4, and I think it will be tough in semi-finals also.
Tough conditions. Do you like the wet, the rain?
Actually, it's better dry.
I think a lot of people would agree with you. Well done. Best of luck moving forward.
It might be several hundred fans and Laura who would vote with their wet feet for a dry race right about now, but I'm not sure that we're going to get that today. However, we are undoubtedly going to get a lot more drama. Well, Pontus Tiedemund, is he going to make the semis?
I don't think he is from that performance.
I should. 4th overnight. It's okay, there's no way he's not going to, barring a mechanical disaster or a crash, neither of which he's had. So we will wait and see.
Ah, this is Rallycross, Martin.
Yeah. Well, you know, as in all motorsport, it ain't over till it's over. So our 3rd grid then, with René Munich on pole position, the 42-year-old German in the Seat Ibiza. JB de Bourg alongside him, 32-year-old French multiple ice racing champion in his Peugeot 208. Mikko Ikonen, again, right in the middle of the 5-car grid, 43-year-old Finn in the Fiesta. Peter Hedström in the yellow and blue Polo, the 35-year-old Swede. And in the 2nd Seat Ibiza in the field, the other all-Inkel Munich Motorsport car, Mandy August, the 45-year-old German lady. She starts in position 5. So we have got Munich Motorsport cars hemming the field in. Look at JB with the blue nose and Ikonen with the black and orange, about a mirror's width apart. Similarly, Hedström and August close to the white line together. René Munich gets the worst start of his qualifiers so far, but as he pulls through the gears, he's behind JB de Bourg and he's underneath Hedström. Hedström gets his door closed in front. Mandy August running all the way around the outside. Not enough traction there for her. Oh, she's going to be behind René, so they're 3rd and 4th. And Ikonen making a really disappointing start, trying to challenge Mandy August, doesn't happen. JB de Bourg, the leader, comfortably though. Hedström slowing down into turn 2 a little more than the leader. Mandy August drifts out wide. Ikonen coming underneath her, can't get through there either. So they're 3rd and 4th. JB now trying to find a bit of pace. Neither of the blue Peugeots performed at all well in Q3. It looks to be a better balanced car now though.
Yeah, the car seems to look a lot more stable on this occasion, but he's pulling the gap to Hedström. He's got 1.5 already, so he's looking good there. He's got the clean air in front of him, which is crucial, and Munich's gone into the Joker and come out behind Mandy August,
yeah.
So maybe they'll be on the radio to Mandy saying, get out of the way, the team boss is behind you.
Come on, Schatz, out the way. René Munich in 4th place. Ikonen also joked on that lap, so Mikko Ikonen and René Munich both taking the jokers. They were 3rd and 5th, now 4th and 5th. Mandy August, as you say, just in front of partner René Munich, and Mandy goes for the joker now. That makes sense for both of them, actually, because she wasn't close enough to de Bourg and Hedström to catch them. She wants to cover off Ikonen, she does. So the Munich Motorsport cars 3rd and 4th. question is, how close can Rene get to De Bourg, and particularly to Hedstrom? Can he do enough? No, Hedstrom, I think, is closing on De Bourg. Again, JB does not look like the car is as comfortable in the wet as it was in traffic. How close Munich is all of a sudden? He's only 2 car lengths behind Hedstrom.
Yeah, so Munich there has really reined them in, hasn't he? I'm just looking to see the gap, if it's any different on the timing screen to what we've got on our screens here. I don't think it is. We'll see as they come down the corner here what the gap is. And Munich is 2.6 off the back of De Bourg, but he's only 7/10 off the back of Hedstrom,
Wow.
so looking to get Hedstrom in this race.
As he came past our window, that was the gap. That's not 7/10, that's not 2/10, that's a car length, and he is going to get Hedstrom. The question is, can he get De Bourg as well? Munich has been really good in qualifying so far. The car seems to work well in the dry and also in the wet. He's made some great starts. He's certainly got plenty of aggression. He's third ahead of Andy August and Mikko Ikonen. The question is, can JB De Bourg actually claim a qualifying heat win out of this? It's going to be close. He jokers, Hedstrom jokers. He's got it because René Munich loses it coming down the hill. Is Munich going to be second? He's not. Hedstrom gets it. René Munich in third. But that was only 6/10 away. So Andy August fourth, Mikko Ikonen fifth. And René just pushing a little too hard down the hill as he came over our left shoulders, finishing in third place. It would have been close for Peter Hedstrom, though, as he and JB De Bourg jokered on the final lap. So the Peugeot takes a win, which certainly was not looking likely earlier on in today's Q3. Mandy August, fifth ahead of Mikko Ikonen in the qualifying times so far. Mandy was in 12th. And that should be enough to move her, guarantee her a spot in the semis. Good start from JB De Bourg. Good start as well from the yellow and blue car, Peter Hedstrom, from lane 4 on the grid. And all of this goes into the drivers' minds, doesn't it, when they're starting to think about semis and finals and where you're ending up on the starting lineup.
Yeah, so actually in the semi-finals, it's only going to be the front 2 rows that... the front row is going to be on the normal grid slot, what they've been using here. For the rest of the races, they're going to be further back, and you'll probably find they'll have better grip on the spaces further behind because of no rubber being laid down previously. That's why we see these guys starting on the grid slightly off to the side of their box so that they can get off of the rubber and find the grip.
All right, well, a win for JB De Bourg. I wonder how he's feeling about this afternoon's prospects. Laura?
JB, well done. It's been tricky for you so far, hasn't it? How much better did you feel out on the track then?
The track now is very slippery, especially turn 2 on the brake. I make a small mistake and lost a couple of time, but it's hard condition for everybody, so I cross the finger to make a good result after the last Q1.
And how much have you had to alter your driving style as it's got progressively wetter throughout the qualifying?
You have to drive to be clever on that condition, but you know this is a specific track. Sometimes you have to use handbrake, sometimes you have to be smooth. It's not easy to find a good combo to be fast.
We hope for more speed for you in the semi-finals. Well done, thank you very much.
Four-time ice racing champion. He should be pretty happy with the limited grip that he's got. Of course, when he's racing in Trophy Andros, they do have narrower tyres and lots of metal studs to help dig you through the ice and the slush. That's not available to him here. So our final heat then, in the last round of qualifying, race 4, and Tamás Karai, the Hungarian who was so impressive so far, will start on pole in his Audi A1. Thomas Brinterson will be alongside him in the Polo. Robin Larsson in the middle of the front row, or the middle of the row. Sonja Evgen, the 21-year-old Norwegian, in the Polo in lane 4, and Andrea De Bourg in his Peugeot 208 in lane 5, the 26-year-old younger brother of JB. So who comes out of this one? Again, you'll be looking for the blue and yellow Swedish colours of Robin Larsson from the middle of the grid. But he hasn't always made good starts so far in qualifying. Tamás Karai doesn't seem, the man on the extreme left of your picture, doesn't seem to get off the line very well, but as soon as the thing starts to pick up speed through the gears, he rockets up the hill. Let's see if he can do it again. Short hold, and away we go. Watch Dubourg on the outside. Great start from Brinterson. Dubourg, there's contact there, but they managed to keep it all together, and Karai makes a liar of me and comes slowest out of the blocks, but it's 3 wide. Dubourg almost in the lead, and now ends up in last place, trailing a bit of bumper. Brinterson leads from Larson, and Efjen got a little nudge, I think, from behind from Karai, drifts out wide, and then that's just getting wider and wider down.
Yeah, it's so slippery down there. You can see it. It's just mud scattered across the whole track there, and Karai now onto the back of Larson, but lost it behind him slightly there, as we don't see Sondre Evjen go for the joker lap. Dubourg looked like he wanted to go then as well, but last minute decision to change to go to the standard lap. He didn't want to be held up behind Sondre Evjen there, so now we're watching the battle out front as Larson's not making big gains on Brinterson here, but of course Larson's got that muddy windscreen to have to deal with at this point, so it's going to be an extra struggle for him, and the one that Brinterson doesn't.
It's really important for Sondre Evjen. He's jokered now. He's second fastest qualifier overnight. He's second after Q3 as well, but only 1 point in hand over Thomas Brinterson. Brinterson leading here from Larson. Karai! Now, did he lose it, or was he intending to joker and just got it wrong? I think he lost it down the hill, and I think Dubourg, possibly when Evjen jokered, I think Dubourg lost it coming down the hill as well. I'm not entirely sure. Karai has jokered, I was going to say jokered twice, seems unlikely. Brinterson and Larson.
Oh, Larson's dropped it on the brakes.
Skates off. The power, drives it out the gravel. Somebody who's been such a dominant force as Larson has, to be making these mistakes, and does he hit the barriers like he did yesterday? No, he doesn't. It shows how hard it really is.
Yeah,
this is
really
proper
hard.
rallycross weather now, isn't it?
It is super hard. You know, it's almost, you know, borderline dangerous that these conditions, because trying to handle 600 horsepower on an icing rink is ridiculously hard. And Robin actually, despite making that mistake, caught up to the back of Brinterson, then went for the joker lap, because look at the gap they've got behind them at this point.
Yeah, and he caught Brinterson in a heartbeat. It's so difficult down there. Dubourg makes contact with Evjen. Dubourg has yet to joker, don't forget, so Evjen and Karai effectively are ahead of him and are almost materially ahead of him again. He shuts the door and Karai, there's not much left. Actually, it does look very much like a Trophy Andros car often does at the end of the event. Brinterson jokers now. Larson, is he going to be close? All right, not that close. Brinterson wins it. Larson second, and Sondre Evjen's going to take third. Is Tamas Karai going to take fourth? Yes, Andrea Dubourg made that into a horrible joker lap, and that just was a disaster for Andrea Dubourg from start to finish. Well, not quite from start. He almost had the lead into turn one. He got into a bit of a shoving match with Brinterson, who ended up staying clean and out front. Robin Larson making that look like a lot of hard work, which it definitely was for the drivers. Sondre Evjen takes third, Tamas Karai takes fourth, and Andrea Dubourg takes fifth. And look at that, JB Dubourg's third fastest in Q4. Had a pair of heads from Rennie Munich, but Thomas Brinterson, the fastest qualifier in Q4. Robin Larson, second quickest. So Brinterson, who moved up to third after being fifth overnight. He moved up to third in Q3 ahead of Rennie Munich. And so I think he is going to hang on to that third place spot. He was only 1 point behind Sondre Evjen, so in fact he will move up to be second fastest qualifier overall, won't he? Behind TQ Robin Larson. Sondre Evjen 10th there, Tamas Karai 11th overall, and Andrea Dubourg 13th. That may have a really material effect now on who gets through into the semis. Let's hear though from our winner, Thomas Brinterson. Laura Winter is there.
Thomas, a clean drive from you, but behind, absolute chaos. How much were you aware of that?
No, I didn't hear anything. I heard that Larsson was following, but I heard we had a gap to the back, but yeah. I tried to do my own race and not pushing too hard, because it's really tricky and easy to do mistakes, but yeah, it felt better now, and we did some changes on the car and it worked quite well.
What changes specifically have you made?
the car is a bit higher and also, yeah, a bit looser. So, yeah.
And once again, beating Robin Larsson. This is good for the semi-finals, no?
Yeah, for sure. It's good to beat him because he's really fast and he had a really good season. So every time we are on quite the same pace as Robin, we know it's good. So I'm happy with that.
And you seem to be relishing these conditions where other drivers are making mistakes. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, so far as well. And I like to drive on rain, but for sure it's really tricky and you need to be really calm. But so far it's good.
Well done. Best of luck for the semi-finals.
Thank you.
We had a really disappointing time in Sweden, didn't he? But he has really turned this around. The Norwegian, the second fastest qualifier behind TQ Robin Larsson. Rennie Munich third, Sonja Efjen fourth. So Sonja has gone from second to fourth from overnight to the end of the day, but we still have a Norwegian in second. JB de Borg, Peter Hedström are fifth and sixth, ahead of Tamas Karai and Mikko Ikonen. And both of Thomas Brintesen's qualifying races today, he's been out front and there has been carnage behind. So our final 12, Andrea de Borg, Pontus Tinderman does stay in the top 12. Paulius Pleskavas does as well, and so does Mandy August, because Rodolfo Dran and Krista Dalmans did not catch it. Dalmans was in 12th place overnight, but drops out into 14th behind Stein Jensen and Attila Moser, who both really struggled to match the pace of the outright front runners, but produced plenty of entertainment. So Mandy August makes it into the top 12. And despite what's been a kind of odd day for Robin Larsson, he's still TQ. So he's still the man, as we expected on Friday, that they're all going to look to try and beat today.
Yeah, so Robin taking maximum points so far this weekend in terms of championship points. Of course, today hasn't gone all of his own way, but it's what the weather does, and this is Rallycross, so you know anything can happen. But you know he's still now on the front row for the semi-final. He's in the perfect position to capitalise now and make it through in the top three.
It's going to be very interesting to see exactly how the semi-finals pan out, because that's, you know, he's got a perfect record so far, 3 out of 3. He's looking for 6 out of 6. He wants to really just drive the nail home here again. If he gets the win here at the end of the day today, then everybody else is going to be really, really under pressure to perform when they go to Loeak and then when they go to Riga. So, yeah, he wants to win, and he's had a couple of little issues, but the flamboyance is still there, the speed is still there, the car's still good, the driver's still good. You know, he's still going to be tough to catch.
Yeah, I mean, I think from this point, he's going to have to just drive it very carefully. If he gets a start in the semi-final, he's got to almost, you know, go back to 80% because it's so risky to drop it that, you know, if he is, you know, back at 80%, people are going to struggle to still pass him because of the nature of the track and how slippy it is offline. So for him, it's a case now of, you know, just taking it a bit calmer and everything else.
Well, it's exactly what he was saying at the beginning of the show when Laura was talking to him. You know, just got to relax, not allow the pressure to get you, not get too stressed, not get too tight at the launch and all of that stuff. And that's all sport, isn't it? The tighter, the harder you make it on yourself, the worse you perform. The more relaxed you can be, just go to that zone where you know what you're doing and everything flows. And that's what he's got to do. And that's what everybody else has got to do to try and get ahead of him. So it's going to be wet, it's going to be muddy, it's going to be slippery, and Laura's going to be outside in all of that while we're in the warm and the dry.
Yeah, thank you very much, Martin and Dan. I'm sure you guys are dry and warm. Down here, a different story. The rain has just about eased up. I've managed to put my hood down. But yeah, still spitting, still wet. You can see behind me here, they've already started treating the track ahead of the semi-finals and the finals. What a thrilling, chaotic qualifying four we have just seen. The weather wreaking absolute havoc. But despite that, Eidar Nureyev and Robin Larsson are TQ heading into our Super 1600 and Supercar semi-finals and finals. We will have those semi-finals for you at 14:20. So come back and see us then. But from me, from Dan and from Martin, thanks for watching and see you soon.